I think this year has been one of the most positive budgets that we've ever been able to agree on in Meath County Council. I think it's given us the opportunity going forward to spend money that we didn't have, particularly over the last 5 years. 3.5 million that is going to come from the property tax will be spent in the county. On top of that, councillors have been given the opportunity, something we haven't had for a long number of years, of spending 12,000, which has been a discretionary fund allocated to each county councillor. And I intend to work with my colleague Gillian Toole here in the Close to spend that 12,000. And I certainly will be hoping to assist local voluntary groups. For example, we've recently set up a men's shed project here, and I'll be delighted to be able to give them some money. The Tidy Towns people who work so hard to keep our village in the good condition that it is in, to offer them a portion of that money. And hopefully, with working with Gillian, that we will be able to put a bigger project to the people of Ratholt where they can have an input into and where they can actually decide where that money should be spent.
We were disappointed in Sinn Féin with the budget. We argued against a number of measures of it. I suppose principally the main criticism we had was around the poor allocation or the lack of return on the local property tax. Local property tax funds in County Meath next year will be close to 18 million euros, but there's only about 3 million euros in additional funding for the local authority. So what has happened is central government has allowed people pay their local property tax, and then at the same time taken away usual revenue streams for local authorities in terms of the local government fund. There were a number of positives out of the budget which Sinn Féin supported in terms of allocation to the municipal districts, a rates rebate for small businesses, which is to be welcomed.
The 2015 Meath County Council budget for Ashbourne was certainly a step in the right direction, but there's an awful lot more work needs to be done. There still exists a large imbalance in the county as regards funding in the county and resources, and especially Ashbourne's allocation. We are very much less funded and less resourced compared to the previous town council areas. Ashbourne will receive the lowest allocation of the property tax in the municipal allocation, while the three town council areas will make up 72% of the municipal allocation from the property tax. So that imbalance still exists, and we need to see a much quicker transition towards equality.
For the first time ever, we have money allocated to do repairs to housing estates, 50,000 to each area. We have discretionary funding of 12,000 euros for each of the councillors to spend on projects in their own area as they see fit. We've never had this money before. We have money for economic development. We have money down to local areas to deal with housing issues. We have money for community grants. There is an issue with money that we have to set aside this year towards interest on a loan, which is payable on a land that was bought over 7 years ago by the council. It's in Farganstown in Navan, and basically that was land that was bought for housing, which wasn't developed because of the downturn in the economy. There's now 22 million due on that. In 2014, that was due to be commenced paying, and we made an application to the government to take that land back off us. There's basically a situation in the Housing Finance Agency. It works a bit like NAMA did with development land, where the councils can hand all responsibilities and debts for the land back to government. Unfortunately, the department, that section, told us they had basically closed their books. They had no facilities left to take back any more land, so we are in a position where we have to start paying the interest on it.
When it came to discussing €97 million spend, it was disappointing to see that almost half of that was going to go on salaries and pensions, and we definitely have to see more funding from central government in that regard. We're very disappointed to see that of almost 19 million euros in local property tax, that the public only saw a 3.6 million surplus. And I suppose we really want to see further allocations made available for home services. 50,000 is a welcome gesture, definitely, but we still feel it's not going to cover. It's not going to cover the needs for the full year, and also we need to look at more sustainable home services for housing people rather than just emergency accommodation. Emergency accommodation is not a home, and it's not the solution that we see as fit.
I think we'll see an immediate effect. They are going to take on 6 additional outdoor staff, so that should their presence alone on the streets should be seen. We're also going to see some differences to do with the local enterprise centre, or Meath Enterprise Centre. So I mean, spending for businesses and for help for businesses will be essential, especially around this area where we want to try and create jobs, increase the amount of jobs that are going on. We're losing literally billions out of this country from not selling online, and if County Meath through the Enterprise Centre gets businesses up and running and selling online, will make a considerable difference to the local area and everything else.
Okay.
But what's going to happen here is that there's going to be a rebate for businesses that pay under €5,000. So the €5,000 rebate will be percentage-wise somewhere between 5 and 20%, just depending on the size of the business.